Welcome back to our series where we are revisiting the invention of photography and the stories of the people who helped make things happen. As this is part 12 of the series, if you missed the first episodes, you may want to pause this video and start from part 1. In this episode, a Russian puts forth a chemical roadmap that was a game changer. 1870 marks the year that the technical revolution or the second industrial revolution began. During the 1870s, England and Scotland played to a 0-0 draw in the first ever international soccer match. They have since played each other at least 116 times. Polyvinyl chloride, or PVC, was invented and is still in use today. Sir Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, and the electric incandescent bulb was patented by both Edison and Swan. The next few years see some interesting advances. American William Lincoln, while an 18-year-old sophomore at Brown University in Rhode Island, makes some attempts to view a series of images in rapid succession in order to create the illusion of motion. In 1865, he patented a carousel-like device with slits in it called the zoetrope. Image strips are placed on the inside of the carousel, and as it spins, the images appear to move. The viewer looks through the slits, and this helps to prevent image blur as the zoetrope spins. This is an important step towards the development of motion pictures. This is what a zoetrope looks like. The cylinder spins, and the viewer looks through the slats to see the object portrayed moving. With all the chemistry that has been happening up until this point, we finally get to a watershed moment in chemistry itself with the Siberian chemist Dmitry Mendeleev. He was the youngest of 17 children. However, 3 of his siblings passed away soon after birth. In 1863, there were a total of 56 known elements, with new elements being discovered about 1 a year after that. Compare that to the 118 natural and synthetic elements that we have today. In 1867, he began to teach chemistry, and he wrote a book called Principles of Chemistry. While writing this book, he began to classify elements by their properties, and he noticed some definite patterns. This led him to create the first periodic table of elements. One of the ingenious things about this draft was that it left gaps in the table and predicted the existence of unknown elements. These elements would eventually be discovered, named, and placed in the table. Before this time, chemists were essentially in an uncharted territory without a map. Mendeleev's discovery reduced the use of the predominant trial and error approach of the day. Here we have a comparison of the original periodic table that Mendeleev made and the modern periodic table of today. Finally, there is a doctor in this madhouse of chemical soups. English physician and photographer, Dr. Richard Maddox, no relation to Bruce Maddox of Star Trek: The Next Generation, or is he? Practices a field of photography that involves a microscope as a lens. He was using wet plate collodion plates and noticed that his health was being affected by the solvents used. From this, he began to look at alternative processes, including vegetable-based alternatives to albumin. He is credited with creating the first water-based gelatin dry plate, a discovery that would have a profound effect on what images would be composed of in the near future. As a bonus, he did not patent his discovery and freely made it available to the rest of the world. Son of the person who invented aniline printing, which is now known as flexography, William Willis Jr. was an English engineer and inventor. In an effort to elevate the status of photography to that of fine art, he began looking at different ways to make prints from negatives. Part of the groundwork for William's work was laid back in 1830 by German Ferdinand Gahling, when he discovered that platinum had some sensitivity towards sunlight. In 1873, Willis Jr. made his first platinum print and then patented his imperfect process, which garnered little interest. He reported his work in the British Journal of Photography in 1874. Alfred Clements was an employee of William Sr. and was sent to the United States in 1864 to help set up and operate the aniline process for a company that bought the licensing rights. The venture turned out to be unsuccessful, and Clements changed employers while remaining in contact with the Willises. In 1877, William Jr. visited the United States and met up with Clements. They formed a partnership and a company, and they continued working on improving the process. Additional patents were obtained in 1878 and 1880 for what they called the platinotype printing method. Here is a photographic print using the platinum print process. In this instance, the chemicals being used are brushed onto the paper as evidenced by the brush marks along the outside of the image. Up until this point, color prints and photography only existed when black and white images were hand-painted after the fact. In 1855, James Maxwell theorized that color images were indeed possible. Enter Louis Ducos du Horon, a French amateur physicist, artist, and inventor. While he had patented an apparatus for making and projecting motion pictures in 1864, he never built a prototype. 2 years prior to this, he conceptualized a practical process for printing color using both additive, red, green, blue, and subtractive, yellow, magenta, cyan, color theories. For 7 years, he experimented and researched color photography. In 1877, he made what was the first color photograph of a town where he would eventually die 43 years later, Agen, in the south of France. He made 3 black and white exposures, one through a green filter, a second through an orange-red filter, and a third through a blue-violet filter. He then kneaded 3 gelatin sheets, one with a yellow pigment, a second with a magenta pigment, and a third with a cyan pigment. The 3 images were superimposed on each other very carefully to produce the final colored image. This process is still used today by all color printing presses. In 1891, he patented anaglyph stereoscopic images, which had to be viewed through glasses that had a red filter on one side and a blue filter on the other. A different colored image is viewed by each eye, and the effect is the same as that of 3D images and motion pictures of today. Here's an image of the first color photograph, which is a view of Agen in the south of France, made in 1877. Please join us next time when we bank on success, get away with murder, put our 2 pence in, and do bullet time, 1870s style, and more. We look forward to you being with us.